morning. That's weak. Good morning. So what's up with all this celebrity TV? That's my question for you right now. What is it? It's amazing how some people want to be famous, to be universally known. And they go to great lengths to do it. And it's also amazing how many people want to watch them and help make them celebrities. You know, if you Google celebrity media, the first one that came up, the first, what would you call it? The link had 72 names on it. For example, People Magazine, Access Hollywood, BET Style, Dish Nation, I could go on. There's a whole lot of celebrity watching going on. And it seems as we as a society just can't get enough of it, can we? All this reality TV, somebody wanting to be seen, talked about. Are these people so fascinating that we just can't get enough of them? Are they? I don't think so. But, you know, if you think about it, some celebrities, some people who watch celebrities probably get inspired to dream bigger and go out and do more. Carol Burnett is one example. She said she was inspired by watching television, and look at all the joy she's brought to this world. Some people are simply curious. They want to see what's going on. What is that? And I think some people is living vicariously because they don't think they're ever going to have as interesting a life, an exciting a life as those people, and they try to fill a void by watching others. I'm sure that's none of us in here today, but just in case you know someone, you know, by not believing that they're going to have a great life, that they are never going to be as exciting and interesting, that's exactly what they create. And so they watch more TV. Absolutely. You know, trying to fill a void from external just doesn't work. It may make us feel good for a little while, but it can never fulfill us. We're looking for the next thing to watch, the next big news story. There are people who watch the news incessantly, my goodness. But when we see the details of these famous people, possibly even really rich people, what are we seeing? We're seeing what they allow us to see. It's a manufactured and usually very carefully controlled picture of their lives. You know, it's viewed to a certain audience, and they know how to do that very well. That's why so many people are watching. I mean, do you really care what the Kardashians are doing? Really? Now, come on. You know, but for example, for all the glamour and the dazzle in her life, Judy Garland, world famous Judy Garland, on more than one occasion, got her children up in the middle of the night, told them to put on as many clothes on top of each other as they could so they could skip out of their hotel bill unnoticed. That cannot be happy feeling. No. You know, but how many people just worship Judy Garland? They think she's wonderful. And she was a very talented person. She gave a lot to this world. But the picture that we saw, was that reality? When we're trying to fill ourselves from something else, how do we know that that's what's really going on? Someone told me once, I want the consciousness of Jesus. And I said, well, look where it got him. I mean, really, and you didn't even know what the consciousness of Jesus was. We don't know. We have to work on our own consciousness, you know. But how many people go to untold lengths to be celebrities? They will do just about anything, and then they realize the cost they're paying for it. They lose their privacy. They have their most personal details leaked out whenever it's, you know, convenient. They may lose control over their bodies, being told what to eat, where, what size they must be, how they must look. You know, they may be required to do things they never wanted to do and show up and participate in things that they really don't care for. You know, then there's some of those people who are celebrities who probably just love everything about it and they're just really thrilled to do it. It's not everyone who has that experience, certainly, but for example, Princess Diana really loved Prince, now King Charles. She did. But she didn't love what came with being in the royal family, and she certainly didn't love his girlfriend Camilla. I don't think so. But what she truly wanted was a normal life, focused on her husband and her children. She went out of her way to create everyday normal experiences for her children. But she was unhappy. She was the most well-known person in the world, but she was a bulimic. That does not come from happiness. I can speak from personal experience. She had given up her peace. She had. You might be saying, this is wonderful, but why are you talking to us about celebrities? Do you consider yourself a celebrity? No, I do not. And I don't want to be. Not like that. I'm speaking of this because I think it's something that everybody can identify with. If you don't have a TV, you still hear about this in some form of media. So, we might not be inspired to pay attention to these people, but we certainly get it in one form or another. Most of us, consciously or unconscious, have some kind of void within us, don't we? Some place we'd like things to be different, something, maybe not this audience, but other audiences. And, but really, we have something in us we always want to have more of or greater. And I believe that the way we were raised in a lot of ways taught us that, well, you just do this over here, ignore that. How many people wanted to be artists? They were told, you can do that on your own time, honey, you go get a real job. That feeling of emptiness. And it's easy to look outside for comfort when that happens. And the media constantly invites us to do so. And you're going to have your own version of that, whatever it is that you are perhaps wanting, you are perhaps looking to experience. Now, you might ask yourself, okay, what is peace anyway? What does it mean to be without it? Why do we long for it when it eludes us? So I looked up some things about peace and several definitions. A state of harmony, freedom from disharmony and violence, cessation of or freedom from any strife or dissension, tranquility and serenity. That sounds nice, doesn't it? And without it, see if this fits anywhere in your life, there's disharmony, possibly violence. And violence doesn't have to be physical. It can be emotional, it can be mental. There's strife, there's dissension, there's anxiety, agitation, or fear. So raise your hand right now if you would like more anxiety and chaos in your life. Please raise your hand. No? Okay, because nobody healthy wants that, do they? No, indeed. We don't desire more of that. I mean, sometimes we want more excitement and we create some of this, but truly, nobody wants more chaos. So Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of religious science, said this. It's a mighty statement. I believe the ultimate goal of life is complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and this goal is sure to be attained by all. Can you believe that? How many of us in here, raise your hand if you think that this world can be totally peaceful and without discord? I don't know that I can really imagine that. It's sometimes the thought of that feels like there's an insurmountable wall. How in the world, with what's going on, are we going to create this ultimate peace? Is it even possible? And when I start thinking like that, I know it's time for a reboot of my thinking. Absolutely. It's time to stop looking without and go within. And you may be saying, go within, get within, get within. I hear about that all the time. I don't know what it is. Quit talking about it. But we'll get to that. But for me, it reminds me to go back to the basics of science of mind. It's called beginner's mind. When we go in that beginner's mind, we remember the basic truths. And for me, this involves, looking at the first 4 chapters of the book or finding some great quotes. There's reading, for example, Norman Vincent Peale, perhaps Wayne Dyer. You have your favorite authors, Brene Brown, whoever you go. Go back to the basics when you get there and remember what they teach us. Ernest Holmes wrote The Science of Mind in 1938, and here are some of his words. Peace comes from a conscious unity of the personal human with the inner principle of his or her life, that underlying current flowing from a divine center. In other words, if you really want peace, you got to connect with that spirit. And it says, intuitively you're one with good, for listen, it is the voice of God within you. And not everybody has to go, I know there's one God indwelling. It can be going in nature. It can be listening to music. There's all kinds of ways to connect with the infinite. It says, there are many ways as there are people on this earth. I think there are many ways to do so as there are grains of sand in this world. But you may be thinking, oh, aren't these wonderful words, Susan? How in the world do I do this? This is so grand for you to stand up there and say, but, I don't know how to apply this. I'm going to give you some practical suggestions. 1, withdraw from confusion. When things get confused, as soon as you can, and we can't always just pop up and I've got to meditate, stop this meeting, just hold everything till Monday because I've got to meditate. Just go someplace quiet and go within. Just focus on your breath. 2, move away from conflict. It may appear unavoidable, but it is not inevitable. We don't have to believe that. As soon as you can, move away from conflict. 3, let go of people, places, and things that bring strife into your life, into my life. Now, letting go may not mean cutting off that situation or that person or that relationship totally. It may mean learning to adapt in some way that we can create peace between us. We can create an understanding. And then there are those times it's just best to get out of Dodge. I was going to say get the hell out of Dodge, but that's not exactly polite. But something within us will guide us, and listen, because it's God speaking to you. And we can learn how to know when it's God and when it's the ego talking to us. Absolutely. I thought some things were God speaking to me, and I realized that wasn't God at all. That was me. Have you ever had that? I'm sure no one but me. Number 4, stop expecting negative experiences. How many people are constantly anticipating something negative? You ever know anyone like that? Oh, we're going to have a picnic. I think it's going to rain. Really, it's going to rain. Well, it may rain all around us, but we'll have a under the pavilion picnic. Well, that won't work. Nobody will come. Just the negativity constantly. How many of us prepare for the worst? No? Good. Prepare for the best. Who taught you that growing up? Anybody? Anybody? Some people actually do that. Instead of saying, well, this could happen. How about what if something wonderful happened? Maybe if we expected it more, we'd see it more, you think? Just pay attention. Another one, number 5, affirm that peace is possible. In the middle of something that is upsetting, confusing, Just affirm that peace is possible. You know, be open to new ways to see things. You know, change your thinking, change your life. And when you do encounter, number 7, disharmony, soon as you can ask yourself just quietly, you don't have to say it out loud, am I contributing peace or am I contributing discord to this? You know, we all have differing beliefs and opinions. Do we respond or do we react when someone's different? I've done both. And 6, remember that outside circumstances do not determine our experience. Our consciousness does. You know, so your house burns down. You can think, thank God for insurance. I'm getting new furniture. You know, I'm not saying to make light of everything, but we don't have to go into this great despair. You know, find ways, this is number 8, to be kind and to share with others. It doesn't necessarily mean money, but it can. You know, take 5 minutes to help someone. Be a ray of light. Smile. Be kind. The more kindness we give, the more kindness we receive. And if someone isn't kind, be kind anyway. That's big. When someone else is unkind, let us be kind. Because how are we going to have if somebody doesn't take the first step? Number 9, pray for greater expressions of love for ourselves, for our country, for our world, our environment. Pray for that. Pray for a health of our world in every aspect. It counts. It really does. 10, stand up for what you truly believe in. Do. Stand up for it. I don't mean just something that sparks your interest, but something that is in line with your deepest beliefs, that you know that is a core value. You know, it's going to enhance life and it doesn't bring harm. That was one way to look at it. Number 11, do what you can and be open to new ways to do things. Not everybody is going to run out and build a school in Malawi. Not everyone's going to be Greta Thunberg and go out and speak to the UN at, 3 years old, whatever she is. We have to work in ways that call to us, right? It can't be somebody else's way. We have to give what we can. And there's no need to feel guilt if you aren't doing something bigger. Do your part. Just be open to knowing that it may be greater than you thought it was. Be open to new ideas of how you can contribute positively. 12, visualize and expect peace and harmony, good for all. That is a very powerful prayer right there. And 13, know always that the nature of this universe is harmony. Absolutely. I think some of us have to grow into peacefulness. Those of us in here, I imagine our parents and the generation before us didn't talk about this. They didn't tell us to visualize peace. They had things in the world that they had to deal with. For example, my dad was in World War II. So we don't necessarily have role models for this, but we can grow in peace just by starting to notice when you're feeling that tension in your body, when you start, somebody on the way over here had the absolute nerve to drive the speed limit. I couldn't believe it. They were making me late. I just felt it, and I thought, well, now, Missy, what are you doing here? You're criticizing somebody who's, actually following the law. Get over it. I find it helpful to read uplifting literature, to find something positive. And there are people who go to the trouble to post short little videos every day on YouTube about something that's uplifting. You can find them. It's really nice to see. But I find it's very helpful when things when the fertilizer feels like it's hitting the ventilator, to ask myself two questions, WWOD and WWHD. Now, this is my way of just really fast recentering myself. I have two dogs named Oliver and Henry. They're wire fox terriers. They're just absolutely wonderful. Oliver is impulsive. He's self-centered. He's demanding. He is a lunch thief. He is a leather chair hog. If you get up, he gets in, and he's not real pleased about looking over and moving. He's somewhat opposition defiant. I was told maybe that's why I identified with him. But, these two special gifts in my life, Oliver is a beautiful boy, and I absolutely adore him. Just not some of his choices, and we talk about that, Oliver. This is not a good choice. He looks at me and goes, eh. He does. Henry, on the other hand, is calm. He's protective. Anything that he thinks is going to harm me or my wife, he stands up for, especially to Oliver when Oliver gets loud. His main goals in life are having his tummy rubbed infinitely and chasing ball while ridding the world of squirrels. He stops when asked and is adorable. I certainly adore him. I love both of them so much. So I asked myself, what would Henry do? Just real quick. Would Henry get all upset? Sometimes it's called for us to have a strong response. Henry does that on time. He's just taken Oliver down, put him on the floor on his back. Oliver barked too loud. He thought he might do something wrong around us. We have to be protective sometimes. We have to do that. But I don't think that we have to do that all the time. We can come with a calm demeanor and bring peace into a situation. What would Oliver do? He would grab the TV remote, your phone, a napkin, a paper towel, anything that you're paying attention to, and run out the doggy door, even with clothes you may have just put down, and they get caught in the doggy door. So you'll maybe chase them around the yard. It's very frustrating. He changes the channel as he goes through the doggy door. Jumps in the chair the minute you get up, doesn't want to share. He may bark to break the sound barrier to let you know that some action is needed that he wants. Have I been Oliver sometimes? Never. Never. I'm certain of it. I am never needing to be right or having things my way. And neither do any of you, I'm sure, but you know somebody who might be that way. Henry thinks the world's problems could be solved with having a tennis ball and a chuck-it. If you don't know what a chuck-it is, talk to me later. Or he would go outside and stand at the window on his tiptoes with the ball in his mouth and just look at you like, I love you. I love you so much. Don't you love me? Don't you know the world would be better if you came out and threw this ball? It's gentle. He does not run around throwing the ball at us. That's his way. Sometimes he just jumps in my lap, puts his facing me, puts his paws right here, and waits for me to rub his tummy. He's very, very loving. So I asked myself, WWOD, what would Oliver do? Am I being Oliver? Or WWHD, what would Henry do? I'll just go jump in somebody's lap and ask them to rub my tummy. I think it would solve the world's problems. Maybe. We can have behaviors that are more gentle. We can diffuse a situation, but what happens when a situation is escalating and we come in strong? We escalate it, don't we? Never anyone in here, I know, but it does happen. These choices may seem really obvious, but it's not always apparent to me in the moment when I think something is just down and out wrong. When I think such and such just has to be said, you'll find your own way. Find some quick way that you have a thought that you can recenter yourself when you get out of whack. Really. Let it come easily to mind. Because peace starts in the individual, thought by thought, word by word, action by action. Our thoughts are creative, so we have to be careful, of what we think, not just a passing thought, but overall trains of thought. And the whole thing, the foundation of peace is the realization that we are divine beings. Absolutely. We are creations of that which created all, and we have that power behind us. No matter what you call it, it's always responding. We are surrounded by and immersed in an ocean of God. This room is full of God. You might not see it, but you can see it. The electricity, the tablecloth, your shoes, whatever. That's all God too. And because God is peace and God is within us, we have peace within us. We don't have to go looking for it. It's there already. We just have to allow it. And it's never external. We just have to nurture it and let it grow. And sometimes it feels like life is coming at us from all these different directions, doesn't it? It causes confusion, upset, disorientation. And we can turn from the idea of the power of the external and go within. It doesn't mean there aren't situations that aren't upsetting, but in that moment, we can go within. And sometimes that is such a challenge for me. I don't want to. I want to be angry. I want to be righteously indignant. But that's not adding to the peace of the world. And you may be asking yourself, how can I make harmony in my life? It seems impossible with what all's going on in the world. But whatever happened in the past is past. Right this moment, when we decide to choose peace, it starts happening. At the rate of our acceptance of that idea. We can choose differently, really choose, not just think about it. It happened in my life. I know at times I've been an excellent bad example. And you might be thinking, how in the world did she become a minister? I mean, really? Jesus, God, look at the you know what? I became a minister because I learned about the nature of life and my relationship with it. I learned in my place in this universe. But so no matter what happens, we can create peace right now, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. In other words, we've made mistakes. We're human. No matter who you are and what you've experienced, the moment is now for power. The moment is now for peace and harmony. Our mistakes do not define us. We don't know what others are going through. How many people have heard Prince Charles, now King Charles, version of what happened in his marriage? I bet he could tell us a few things too, but he didn't. There are at least always two sides to a story. We don't have to know what happened. Love will find a way. Absolutely. Our faith in that love will bring us guidance. Judy Garland was an alcoholic. She was a drug addict, both by the time she was 30. She was greatly manipulated by MGM. She was admitted to a private sanitarium. She allegedly attempted suicide and went through shock treatments for therapy. And yet, her talents brought so much joy to so many people. You don't have to be perfect to start shining your light. Don't wait till you think you're perfect and you think you're right. Start enacting it right now. Diana Spencer, for all the things she encountered, was a very loving person. Her example, she stalked in minefields to show the ravages of war. She held the untouchables, the AIDS patients. She brought love and the volunteering spirit to people to show them what a gift it was. She showed that anyone can create more love. She'd been a kindergarten teacher before. She was so young. You know, I may not walk through minefields, but I'm standing here in front of you talking about how to create peace. Right now is where we have the power. Every being is an expression of the divine. Two women that I've met created a rescue for terriers. They funded it themselves at first. And I have Oliver and Henry because of them. What joy they have brought in so many lives. That's their ministry. We each have a part to play, whether it's marching for social justice or donating to a cause that you believe in. You know, we can take better care of each other. We can take better care of our earth. If you feel you don't know what that part is in your life, ask to be shown. Ask, and affirm is clear as writing on the wall, and you'll be shown. Affirm this with me in peace, would you, in closing? I am one with God's peace. I am one with God's peace. There is no confusion in me. There is no confusion in me. At the center of my being, there is peace. At the center of my being, there is peace. Keep those kind of thoughts, whatever your wording is, and things change. We know whatever is ours to do, it's just ours. This may not be to do with anyone else. But let's live it wisely and lovingly, and let's act like it matters, because you know what? It does. Thank you.